So I hear that your friends are also giving you a lot of pressure about starting a new relationship. Could you tell me a little more about that?
Well, most of my friends I went to high school with, and we got married around the same time, and we started having kids around the same time, and that's when I had Brianna. And then now they're having more children, and they always, like, let's be pregnant together, or when you can have another baby, or they say things like, if I do have another kid, it's going to be so far away from Brianna's age that they will be like only children, or it was just stuff like that.
Oftentimes, speaking to a friend about the loss of a loved one is really difficult. Have they been able to talk to you about what you're going through in regards to Tom?
I think that they kind of avoid it a little bit. They know that it's been hard for me, and like I said, it's been a couple of years ago, so I don't know. Maybe they think, my grieving period would have been less.
Mm-hmm.
But, no, I don't really talk to them about it at this point. I kind of don't really talk to anyone about it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Feel like maybe I should be over it by now, or,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just, it's hard, He died when Brianna was 2, and now I can't imagine how could I ever replace her father? I don't know how I would, want to or try to bring someone else into our family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was so complete before. Now I know it's got a hole in it now, but yet at the same time, her and I are very happy. My complete attention is on her. Like, I'm afraid to be in a relationship and have to, spread that energy around even more, when really I'd like it to be on her.
Mm-hmm. So you say you spend a lot of your energy on your guys' relationship and what you guys do together. Can you tell me a little bit about what you guys do together?
Well, usually I try to pick her up from daycare around 3, and then I try to do an activity with her, before dinner time every day. Something that we can do together, whether it's go to the park or watch a movie, or even pick up sticks in the yard. Just some time spent together, and then we usually have dinner, and to give her a bath in the evenings and read bedtime stories, and that's about it. And then we get up and we do it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm already, worried about her growing up too
Mm-hmm.
fast. She's going to be starting school next year and stuff. Maybe as she were to become more independent later on, and I hope much later on,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I would then shift more focus to myself. But right now, it's really on her.
Mm-hmm. These are the precious years that you want to hold on
Right.
to.
We'll never get these back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's so sweet now. I mean, she's going to be a teenager one day.
Yeah.
She probably won't want to do anything to do with me then. Maybe then would be a good time to think about starting a relationship of my own.
Now, you said that there's the pressure of growing older and how that puts pressure on you for finding a new romantic love in your life. Is that just your friends that are putting that pressure on you about your age and your youth, or is that your mom, or is it society, or how who's putting that pressure on you?
I feel that sort of pressure from many areas. Mm-hmm. I think society really attaches beauty to youthfulness, and as you lose your youth, I mean, you're not necessarily considered beautiful anymore. I don't know how you'd be considered, but, and then, my mom has said that before, you're not getting any younger and stuff like that. So I think, society and my mom and, probably my friends have made comments about that too. I think it's a pretty universal idea, but, I'm happy with aging. I think, great things have come with aging. I know a lot more
wisdom
than I did when I was younger, and thank goodness, because I didn't actually enjoy my younger years, and mm-hmm. self-searching and stuff. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm happy with the things I've learned. I'm happy with the choices I've made, and I wouldn't want to go back and start that kind of all over again. So
it sounds like you are not worried about aging and the things associated by or what the world deems as not a good part of aging, but there's beauty in everything, whether it's laugh lines or wrinkles. They could be looked at as beauty and as war wounds for what love has left behind.
Right. I would probably keep my 30-year-old brain and my 18-year-old body if I could put it together, but I don't think that's going to be a choice I get to have. So that ship sailed.
Now, you said your mom is putting pressure on you. Can you tell me a little bit more about your family?
Yeah, my parents, it's a very traditional family, traditional Christian middle class family who they've been married now for 40 years.
40 years.
Yeah, so it's a big deal. They've been married for many, many years, and that's exciting. And they got a happy marriage, and that's good. My sister, she on the other hand, she's had a couple divorces. In fact, she's had 2 divorces, and now she's dating a new guy. And even though he is not a good guy, it's almost like my mom's happy, with her just finding the guy or whatever. Whereas I don't have anyone, and I feel like she looks down on that. When I would, I don't like the guy. I don't agree with her being with him, and with so many, and just looking for people rather than just searching for herself, kind of. So, and I think it's okay what she's done for, that's okay. What works for her, but it doesn't work for me.
So your mom is happy with your sister having love in her life. It doesn't matter how many times, just as long as she has a man in her life. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I think some of that comes from a different age too. Like my mom stayed at home. She didn't work outside the home, and she hasn't been supportive in other areas of my life. What do you need an education for? Well, to me that's obvious. I'd like to be able to support myself, support my daughter, and just I can't imagine just staying at home and not having anything to do all day. Not that she didn't do anything, but yeah, I think my dad took care of her, and I think it kind of stems from the idea of, she wants somebody to take care of me. I think it comes from a good place, but I don't need to be taken care of. So I don't know what I can do to get her to kind of realize that and back off a little bit. So.
Now, does your dad give you the same kind of pressure as your mom?
No, not as much. No, he's an easygoing guy. He kind of lets her be the boss, of the home. That was her space, and she was the homemaker. So he kind of lets her do that, and really he, doesn't care. He's always just happy to see me. He loves spending time with Brianna, and I think he's okay with it, but he doesn't always say much. So.
Now, you said your mom didn't see why you needed to work or get an education, but how is your relationship otherwise? If you're not talking about not having a male interest in your life, how do you get along other than that?
I think what kind of gets in the way of her and I is some of her traditional values, whereas, I have more of a contemporary view, and families are changing, and there's all kinds of families now, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a married couple with children, and I just don't think she gets that. I think she's still, stuck on the nuclear idea, the nuclear family. So she isn't very adaptable, maybe.
Now, you work, you go to school, and you spend extra time with Brianna. Could you tell me a little more about what you do for you?
Well, I do spend time with friends. And a lot of times Brianna's involved in that, and I just take her with, and they have kids, and they play, and then we kind of just talk and do things. I like to take vacations. Again, I bring Brianna. I don't know that I necessarily do anything for just me. I mean, I feel like I'm really all she has. I mean, her her grandparents on her dad's side, they don't live around here. And of course, my parents love to see her, but you know, I generally take her with me most times where, you know, whether I'm hanging out with friends or on vacation. So I guess, you know, I probably don't spend a lot of time on me or have a lot of focus on me. And maybe that's not such a good thing. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems like you have a lot going on and you're getting pressure from a lot of people. And how is Brianna taking, in regards to all the stuff that's going on with you, how is Brianna taking it all?
I think that, you know, she's a happy child, and she's very smart, and she is kind of intuitive, so she knows when things are wrong. But I think she was young enough when her dad passed away that, you know, and maybe, like, I think she'll be okay. And I guess my greatest fear is that she won't remember him because she was so young. And I don't, with me already being concerned that she won't remember her father, I feel like if I brought someone else new, like, you know, that I would be betraying Tom in a way, you know? And so that's all also on my mind.
Betraying Tom, have you ever, how often do you talk to Brianna about Tom?
You know, often. You know, I've kept pictures around the home. And, you know, I take her to places that, you know, him and I used to go to, or even places that we took her to, and I will say, you know, your dad used to bring me here, or different things like that. And she has picture books and stuff that, you know, that she looks at, and she knows who he is, you know. And I guess she just accepts the fact that he's not around. You know, but that's, you know, I try to keep him alive in our home as much as I can.
That's great. That's great.
And maybe what kind of guy would want to come in and have pictures of some lady, you know, of my ex-husband, or, you know, my dead husband?
Well, it would take a strong man, a man that knows that a man would know that you continue to love your ex-husband, and that shows the kind of person you are, that you have that kind of depth to you, that you have that love in you, and that's not a bad thing. I think that's a great thing that you still have that in you, and that you want to keep that alive in your daughter. It's not something that a man, I think, would be intimidated by. I think, if anything, it would be heartwarming for someone to see that in another human being.
I guess that's an interesting perspective, and maybe I haven't looked at it that way. So, you know, maybe there is a way that it can all work together, and maybe somewhere down the line, you know, I will find somebody, and maybe, like I said, when Brianna's a little bit older. But right now, I really would just like to, you know, stick with it being her and I.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot going on, and that you really value this time with Brianna, and that you want to focus on yourself and your relationship with her, and you just want to be able to perhaps not have the pressure from your family as much, and maybe not from your friends as much, and that's something that we can explore a little more next week when you come in. But I just want to thank you for coming in, for sharing this with me, and we will talk more next week.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's beautiful.